All right, hello everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the fourth event for our Biotech Takeover Week. My name is Renee Love, and I'm the career counselor for engineering and technology students here at the University of Delaware. I just really want to truly welcome you to our event this evening. So I wanted to walk you through tonight's agenda. Welcome again. The Career Center is so excited as we are in the middle of our Biotech Takeover Week. We'll go over some housekeeping notes, and then I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker for this evening. And then Sarah Arth will go into her presentation, and then I will go ahead and give some closing remarks and reminders about our upcoming events. All right, so just some housekeeping notes. The webinar is being recorded. Hopefully you are okay with that, and will be sent to you all once we finish the editing process. Please keep your mic muted to reduce distractions. And then if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat feature. And just a reminder, in case you have any questions, the Career Center has a YouTube channel with some great on-demand videos that has some quick tips regarding professional development. So feel free to take a picture of the QR code listed there so you can access our channel. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our speaker. So Sarah Arth serves as the Vice President of Education at the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, the world's largest biotech trade association representing biotechnology companies, academic institutes, state biotechnology centers, and related organizations across the United States and in more than 30 other nations. As a proactive voice of science and for science, Bio is driving a revolution to cure patients, protect the climate, and nourish humanity. Sarah is responsible for setting the strategy and overseeing the execution for all of Bio's educational activities and other programs. Sarah focuses on program creation and re-engineering, increasing effectiveness, viability, and results when it comes to events. Prior to joining Bio, Sarah spent 10 years at the National Association of Chain Drug Stores, where she held various roles in programming, grassroots outreach, and fundraising. In 2012, Sarah earned the Certified Association Executive Credential from the American Society of Association Executives. She has served on the board of directors of the NACDS Foundation, National Council for Patient Information and Education, and the Boys and Girls Club of Alexandria, Virginia. She currently serves on the board of the Crystal City Children's Center. Wow, Sarah, you are busy. So Sarah graduated from the University of Delaware with a marketing degree and is originally from Shillington, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Sarah Arth. We are so excited to hear your presentation.
And I did the one thing you're not supposed to do. I forgot to unmute. Thank you, Renee, for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming tonight. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I put together a few slides to walk you through. So let me go ahead and do that. And hopefully you're able to see the presentation. Perfect. Everybody, Renee, are you able to see it okay? Perfect. Well, I was super honored to be invited to come back to my alma mater to talk a little bit about associations and how my career path led to my work in associations, what they are, what specifically Bio does, and I think the exciting opportunities that exist in the trade association and professional association world. And it's something that I knew nothing about when I was studying at the University of Delaware. So I was super anxious and happy about the opportunity to be able to tell you a little bit more about it. I wanted to give you an introduction of myself, which Renee already did for me so kindly. And then I wanted to talk a little bit more tonight about associations, just level set about what they are, what kind of career opportunities exist there. And then I'm going to talk about what Bio does. We are called the Biotechnology Innovation Organization. It's Bio for short. You'll learn that most associations have an acronym. Everybody in DC has an acronym. We're headquartered in Washington, DC. That's where I've been for pretty much since graduating from University of Delaware. So I'll talk a little bit more about what Bio does, and then I'll talk a little bit more about my individual role and some of the fun things that I get to do within my role at Bio. And then, of course, please feel free to ask questions, submit them through the chat at any time, and I will try to monitor that so that I can get you as much information as possible. So associations, what are they? I had no idea what associations were until I moved to DC. DC and Chicago are probably the predominant areas of where most associations are headquartered in the United States. But a quick definition of associations is mission-driven nonprofit organizations that are committed to making the world safer, smarter, and better by serving the professions and industries they represent. For example, I work for Bio. We are a trade association, so we represent biotech companies. We represent the companies that are bringing the cures to the world faster, that are bringing the solutions in the food and agricultural section of biotech, and then the environmental solutions. And the biotech companies that produce those products are our members. The goal of many associations is really to have a lobbying voice, either in the US, either in the States, or internationally. Associations exist all over the world, and I'll give you some examples of what they are. There's more than 1 million people in the US that are employed at associations, otherwise known as membership organizations. And those positions can really vary from executive leadership down to working in technology and finance, those support functions that are needed in every organization, as well as communications, government relations and lobbying, and then events. I work mostly in the education and training area, but a lot of what I do does come to fruition at events, so I can talk about that a little bit as well. As I mentioned before, a trade association, also known as industry trade group, is an organization that's founded and funded by businesses. So the biotech has a trade association. The retail pharmacy sector has a trade association. The restaurants have a trade association. You typically are able to find an association for every industry out there. I wanted to provide a few examples of different associations in the biotech space. We obviously are one of those, but there is the Drug Information Association, there are international associations, the Bioindustry Association, there is the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, PhRMA, which a lot of individuals hear about. They represent the large pharma manufacturers like AstraZeneca, who is lovely headquartered in Delaware. And this is just a small example of some of what those trade associations and what they are. There is also what we call professional associations, and those are associations that individual people are members of as opposed to the corporation. So, for example, when I was in college, I was familiar with the American Marketing Association from a business degree. You might have heard of the American Institute of Biological Sciences. These are all examples of individual membership organizations. I think an important thing to know is a lot of these professional associations do have student chapters and activities for students to get them engaged in the profession, and to be able to resource, network, and connect to individuals, which is very, very important from the association world. So overall, associations are typically working to advance some sort of mission on behalf of an industry, on behalf of a profession. And I'll move on to a little bit more about Bio. The Biotechnology Innovation Organization, our mission is to be a proactive voice of science and for science that will drive a revolution. That is our goal. We are here to talk to policymakers about biotech to make sure that the policies that they are enacting are favorable to be able for biotech companies to be able to create their products. We were founded in 1993. We're almost, I guess, 30 years old soon. We are a nonprofit trade association. We have our CEO is Dr. Michelle McMurray Heath. She is a physician researcher, the first African-American woman to graduate from the Duke MD PhD program, and she is a great advocate for the biotech community. So we are very, very proud of our CEO. In addition to all associations, all nonprofits have a board of directors that run them. And so our board chair is Paul Hastings, who is CEO of a smaller biotech company really working in the oncology space called Nkarta Therapeutics. We are located in Washington, D.C., and we have about 1,000 members, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Here is a little bit more about our mission, purpose, and vision. So what we do, we drive a bio-revolution through education, collaboration, and advocacy. We advocate for better policies. We bring the industry together to collaborate on creating a better ecosystem for the biotech community. We do this through events. We do this through education. There's many different ways we do it. Our purpose is, why do we do it? Because we care. We know that biotechnology has the solutions to so many problems that face our planet, whether it's healthcare problems, whether it's climate change. We know that biotechnology is a big provider of that. This last year, going through COVID, was a great example to the mainstream public of how effective and useful biotechnology can be. And then what we will achieve. We will achieve rapid biotech innovation, equitably harnessed for health, sustainability, and justice. We have a strong stance on sustainability, and really we have a very strong stance on bioequality, making sure that we are creating products that are accessible to all that need them, and creating an accessible workforce as well. Here are our strategic pillars. I think I read the first one, which is be a voice of science and for science. That is communicating in the DC and around the globe, really, on policy issues to create a more favorable environment. We're working to unite and empower biotech innovators. We are bringing companies together every day that are partnering to make better innovations for the world. Our goal is to remove barriers to innovation. That goes back to fighting for policy. We spend a lot of time working working with and collaborating with the FDA and other government agencies to make sure that the regulations make sense and have safety first, but also allow companies to innovate and bring products to market. Championing access, again, that is making sure that we are getting these solutions that we're providing for the world to the consumers, to the patients, to the people that need them. And then all in all, this all will roll up into really catalyzing resilient and sustainable bio-based economies. That is the fact that biotech is a rich, rich industry. Although it's not as big as others, it is a rich industry. It's from a financing standpoint, there's a lot of interest there, and we really want to make sure that we're working and we're creating these biotech ecosystems to sustain the industries, grow the industry, and continue to grow the innovation. Here's just an example of what our membership exists of. We have about 1,000 members. Majority of those members are biotechnology companies that, whether they're 2 to 3 people companies or, hundreds of thousands of employees like Johnson & Johnson. We represent the smallest biotechs, the startups, to the largest pharmaceutical companies. We have what are called state and international affiliates. There's an organization called Delaware Bio, and they are a member of ours. We work and we support each other and we collaborate. There's a biotech association in almost every state doing work, and it's also a great place to get involved. If you haven't heard of them, I definitely encourage you to check them out, but I'm sure you're probably aware. And then we also partner and work with the universities. Academic nonprofits, they're extremely important to our ecosystem. I was on a phone call today with the technology transfer offices of all of the major universities, and they are super relevant and focused on what we're doing as we partner greatly with them from a research standpoint. Most of our companies are focused on healthcare, although we do also cover the food and agricultural part of biotech, as well as the industrial environmental. Those companies that are creating renewable enzymes that will create a new product that can be recycled easier, just all of these things, the biofuels, all of the innovations that are really going to help really save our planet and help us make strides in climate and sustainability. And then the last little pie chart is just the company revenues. I think this just shows you that predominantly most of our members don't even have our healthcare members don't have a product on the market. They're the companies that have an idea and they're looking for a company to fund it, and they're doing their research so that they hopefully can get a cure one day. That is the majority of the people that we represent, those people that are fighting day in and day out, and they're taking a chance to bring a product to market. Here's just a few more facts about Bio as a trade association. Like I said, we have a very diverse membership from the human health side to the environment side. A lot of that crosses over now in these days because all of the organizations are very much concerned about their sustainability efforts from a company standpoint. So it's nice to be able to tie all of those sectors together. We have startups to really big companies. We have a very international focused membership. And again, it works with universities, research institutions, and investors. Universities just like the University of Delaware. We have a world-class advocacy team. I think this is really what sets Bio apart from so many others. We have a team of experts that are focused day in and day out on all of the policy issues surrounding biotech, which there are many as it's a highly regulated industry. So from our science and our regulatory affairs dealing with the domestic US and international regulatory agencies to those groups working on value and access to medicine and pricing of medicines, down to intellectual property and also, working at the state level, like I mentioned before. We have an amazing policy team that I'm so proud to be able to call them my colleagues. And then in addition to that, we bring people together. We have events. We have several events a year. We do a 19,000 person event. The last time we held it live, it was in Philadelphia, so not too far from where you're all located. And all of these events are designed for a different reason, but they're designed to bring the ecosystem together, to create partnerships that could lead to the next innovation, to bring the Pfizer and the Biotech together so that they can create a new breakthrough and help fuel and provide solutions to the world's biggest problem. I'm counting these here. There's 8 or 9 events that we do. We do webinars, we have training programs. A lot of these are applicable for students as well, but our events are mostly focused on around the business and policy objectives of the organization. So that's a little bit about the association, a little bit about the associations in general, and then Bio. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I get to do on a daily basis, which I think is the fun part. I just have a few more slides to get through, and then hopefully if you have any questions, I can help answer those. So I graduated from University of Delaware in 2000 from the School of Business. And after I graduated, I went home, I worked in sales for a year, and I decided that I really wanted to live in Washington, DC. So I moved to Washington, DC 2 days before 9/11, 2001. And I didn't have a job. My sister lived there, so I had a place to live. But I was temping, and I was riding the metro one day, and trying to figure out what my next career move would be. And a woman asked, was talking to me about it, and asked me if I had considered working for an association. There's many, many, many jobs in DC in associations. And I was unfamiliar with what an association was. And so I talked to her, and I expanded my job search and looked through job listings. It ended up that I started working at an organization called the National Association of Chain Drugstores. So that organization represents the retail pharmacies, CVS, Walgreens, Happy Harry's, which used to be in Delaware, which no one probably remembers because they're not there anymore. Walgreens bought them, but there used to be one on Main Street in Newark. And there, what I started to do is put their programming together for pharmacists for their conferences. And I had the opportunity while I was there to work in many different aspects of the organization, which is a luxury and doesn't always happen. But I found that I loved working for associations. I found that you are able to have a voice at the table. You are able to be creative typically, and you're really able to influence the direction of the organization because they're typically smaller organizations. It just so happened that NECDS was about 100 people when I started working there. And so I worked all throughout the organization. I did fundraising, I did grassroots outreach, I worked with members of Congress, and I toured them around pharmacies all over the country. And it was truly an amazing experience working for that organization. And that launched me into moving into bio. I started in bio in 2011, and the day-to-day of my job really focuses on putting together content for the industry. So that content can be in the form of a panel at a conference, a webinar, a training program. It could be anything, any type of content you've consumed. I've probably created it or worked with my team to create it. I do have a team of 7 people, and we focus on engaging membership to provide input. That's a little bit of committee management. We work with investors. A big part of what my team does is we do outreach to investors. We educate them on through the events and bring them to events. We are so fortunate that we now have virtual event design experience. It's not something that I ever thought I would do because all of our events were live, but now we, like so many, are able to do that. We work with our sponsorship team, and we help bring in and raise money and get organizations to sponsor our content. We work with speakers. The people that I get to work with on a daily basis that are speaking at our programs or speaking on our training are absolutely amazing. And I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of some of that in just a minute. Just to give you perspective, the number of events we do per year is usually 6 or more. The number of educational sessions at an event per year is typically more than 200. This past year, it was over 500 because virtually it's easier to do a lot more content. In any given year, we can deal with 1,000 different speakers. We work and put together what's called company presentations. They're 15-minute pitches that biotech companies give that really talk about their technology or their science or what their business objectives are that help them find the partners that they're looking for at our events. We work with various different sponsors. We put on webinars daily. We work with investors, like I said. And this past year, so far, we've had at least 51,000 different people view all of the content that we've put together online. That doesn't happen as much in person, but it's easier to reach them online. And we now know that we'll be able to do content online and in person going forward to make it accessible. And then we have a number of online courses that we offer member discounts to BIOS members. To give you an example of some of the topics that we focus on at our events, Obviously, we focus on infectious diseases and vaccines. Maybe it's not obvious, but it's a crucial topic. It has always been a crucial topic. It's even more crucial since we're going through COVID. We focus on digital health, where the technology meets biotechnology. We focus on patient advocacy. We have a big program working with all of the patient organizations, and how do we bring those companies into the drug development process to get their feedback as these biotech companies are developing their drugs. It's such a critical thing. We focus on issues like science communication. How do we combat some of the negative press about science that has especially been happening in the past several years? We talk about how we can enhance clinical trials. Clinical trials can be done remotely now. So how do we make that a more effective process, knowing that that's one of the most expensive parts of the research and development process? So we have a very, very broad portfolio of what we talk about in biotech, because there is so much to cover. We talk about business development and finance. That's a critical topic. Our companies want to know how to partner with another company. What are the financing trends going to be? Is the finance and investment going into biotech going to be the same? And then I think I mentioned earlier that a big initiative is bioequality. So, focusing on those workforce issues, equality in the workforce, in the senior leadership of biotech companies, and how to diversify their workforces. And, access to clinical trials for everyone, equality is an issue there. And then generally access to healthcare. There are so many areas that span what we're doing. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of some of the topics that we focus on. And then here's the fun part. I get to work with extremely interesting people every day. And so I thought I would go through a little bit of some of my favorite speakers that I've gotten to work with once, twice, or maybe several times. But because we're in COVID, Dr. Fauci takes the cake. I've gotten to work with him several times as he continues to come to our events and address our audience. Julie Gerberding is one of our board chairs. She is an executive vice president and chief patient officer at Merck, and she used to run the CDC. We have Peter Marks, who he heads up the division of biologics at the FDA that oversees all the vaccine development. So these are all super critical people that are more mainstream now than ever, but they're always rock stars in my world. And then looking at just another list of speakers, some of these are repeats, but I get to work with Albert Bourla, who is the CEO of Pfizer, or Jennifer Doudna, who is the co-creator of CRISPR. She's a Nobel laureate. She spoke at our event in June. The head of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Sanjay Gupta. We have a very diversified portfolio of speakers, and you get to sit down and talk to and listen to these people with these great, amazing ideas and stories to share. And my job is really to provide them with the platform and the way to share those stories. When we were in Philadelphia our last live convention in 2019, I would be remiss not to Ken Frazier, who's now the former CEO of Merck. He spoke at our meeting. He's a Philadelphia native. He came in and he talked about his views on running the company, but also his views on leadership. I think some of those perspectives are so important to understand really how to lead a company, how great leaders are made, and how to effectively do all of those things. At one point in time, we had the former Prime Minister of the UK, David Cameron, speak at our event. He was very instrumental in working on a personalized medicine project of mapping genomes in the UK and getting people to provide their DNA to a database so that they could do studies on people's health and history, somewhat like what we do with 23andMe here in a way. And so that, and his global experience as a leader is critical to our audience, because we're dealing with science and policy issues all at the same time that do affect the globe. That is the thing about biotech, is it is a global industry. And you know, we have our own issues here in the US, but the industry is so globally focused that there's no way just to be able to focus on one. It has to be an international issue. And then one of my favorites was we were able to do a downlink from the International Space Station when one of the Kelly brothers was up there. This was in 2015. And so we actually had a real live astronaut on stage interviewing one of the Kelly brothers from the International Space Station. And they talked a lot about the biotech research that goes on in the International Space Station. So I think this was really technically a complicated thing for us to do, but it is one of the most exciting things that I think have gotten to do in my career was facilitate that conversation between an astronaut here on Earth and one on space live at our event. And then just another example of, we've got industry executives, but we have fun. We had Will Smith one year when the movie Concussion came out, along with the real doctor that his character was based off of, Dr. Bennett Amalu, who is the gentleman that discovered the disease that you have when you have a concussion, and is really focused on, you know, finding solutions, better solutions for these high impact sports and other activities that pose a risk for CET. It was an amazing discussion between Will Smith and the doctor and our then CEO, Jim Greenwood. But it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a different take than the day-to-day science and policy, but every now and then we add a little bit of entertainment in there. And then this is my last slide, and I will pause for questions because I know I've done a lot of talking. One of the programs that we do at our events is called Startup Stadium, and it is our version of Shark Tank. We bring in startup organizations, very small organizations, and we allow them to pitch, and then we have a panel of judges. Some are investors, some are attorneys working in transactions, some are affiliated with the University of Delaware in this case. And in that program, it's an amazing way to engage and see all of these new technologies. And so when we were in Philadelphia and did this program live the last time, here was a panel of our judges, and they all come from Delaware. Delaware, actually, and there might be one from Philadelphia. And so I wanted to bring that in and just show you the level of engagement. Bio is everywhere. Our members are everywhere, but the events that we put on and we bring people together, and the policy work that we're doing to bring people together brings the whole community together that's sitting right in your backyard. And so I thought that would be a good way to end my portion, and then see if you all had any questions, or maybe I answered them all along the way. And I just, this is just, our website is a wealth of information, but I am as well. And so if there are questions, great. And if there aren't questions, I am happy to provide my contact information for follow-up as well. Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Thanks, Sarah. That was great. You know, I'm such an advocate for bio. I see the great things that the organization is doing. I certainly promote it to our students, and we certainly are trying to get more connected to Delaware Bio. So thank you so much for that wealth of information. But we will now turn it over to the audience. Students, do you have any questions? You can actually go ahead and unmute yourself because it's a very intimate crowd today.
Hi, I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that, like, thank you so much for this presentation, because it's always cool to see like the different aspects of where you could take like biotechnology. Like, you don't have to be just in a lab, you could do what you're doing like in an association, and so be able to meet all of these great people and do a lot of great stuff. So thanks so much for kind of bringing light to this.
You're quite welcome. And actually, one important thing I should have mentioned is a lot of our people focused on policy at Bio have a biotech background. So in an area such as biotech, you really have to understand how the science is created to understand the policy. And so I think that's actually probably the most important point I should make, is that we have a policy team that is biotech. They all have backgrounds in biology, so undergraduate degree, graduate degrees in biology of different types. And a lot of our regulatory staff have come from the FDA or the NIH, and they have been, working as scientists somewhere else and decided to move into policy. So thank you for that. And I'm happy to be able to uncover, a few different options that people may never have thought of, that we'll always need good people to fight the policy fight and do different programs for associations.
Awesome. So speaking of backgrounds, can you tell us, and this may be, very broad, but what are some marketable skills that students can showcase on their resume when they're seeking positions within the biotech field?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a really good question. Marketable skills would I think obviously an understanding of biology, although in no means a requirement. If I look at what my core competencies are, I would say relationship building, good interpersonal and team building skills, being able to demonstrate that. There is a lot of consensus building in associations, and you'll end up working in a lot of different coalitions with other organizations that may have a different perspective, but you agree on this one issue. So I think those kind of negotiation consensus building skills are and can be super critical. The interest in the subject matter, and really the drive to be committed to something that is very mission focused. A lot of times I think the trade associations kind of mirror the industry we're in, and the biotech industry is so fast-paced and so fast-moving, and we have a very innovative culture within our organization. So the ability to demonstrate innovation in your thinking and creative problem solving, I think, are all very good marketable skills that would definitely help with landing a job in an association.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then I know another big part of the events that you all create and put on is networking, right?
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about networking and how that is important to push a student into their career path?
Absolutely. So networking is critical. It's the number one reason people come to events, whether it is to meet, to advance, whether it's a personal objective, a career objective, or number one, a business objective for your organization of which you're employed. And I think that a lot of times, and keep this in mind, we will offer opportunities for students to come to our event for a day. And so I think that something that is very critical is networking is going to help you in anything you do, whether it is your day job. If my network is extremely vast because I've been in the industry for 10 years, but it very much helps me to have this network where I met, I'll just use Fauci as an example, Dr. Fauci. I can call him, and I'm not saying I can do this, there's other ways to do it, but you can call, once you network and you get to meet people, you can call them up and be like, will you speak at this meeting? And when they know you and put a face to a name and you start having these relationships, people are more apt to say yes to what you ask them. But I would also say that every position that I've had, especially in the association world and volunteer position, I've gotten through networking. So sitting on boards is a great way to network. And so I would definitely recommend taking advantage of the awesome programs that your career services have together. And I would also the alumni network at University of Delaware is so rich. You've got so many resources there. So I think using that network, because that, you know, in a way, I haven't been there to school in 20 years, but, you know, we're constantly, it doesn't go away. You're always a blue hen. And so I just think that networking is probably the number one thing you will do. And so we try to create as many opportunities for people to get together online or in person, but online as well through our virtual events. And so I would just recommend you all trying to take advantage of those opportunities as you see them. It's something I wish I would have done more of when I was at the university. And I think you learn that lesson probably further along in your career when you need to know it early on. So.
Thanks. Does anyone else have questions?
I actually took notes through the whole thing, and I have quite a few, but I'll try to keep them nice and short. But
Sure.
just to begin, I mean, thank you so much for that. That was fantastic. And I'm in pharmaceuticals now. I work for Catalent. We're CDMO.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, and I actually start my MBA in 2 weeks. So it's kind of crazy that that this biotech week came along and I got to be a part of it, but it was fantastic. But
Congrats.
really, yeah, thank you. But really briefly, you know, my education background is actually pretty much all business. And I got this job thinking I wanted to get into pharmaceuticals. But how can I kind of further my education as I go along and as I get my MBA to kind of become a valued member of an association like Bio? Because that's something I've always been really intrigued in, the lobbying and things like that.
Yeah, I think, well, number one, I think there's internships that might, you know, might supplement any education. There is actually an association for people that work for associations called the American Association, ASAE, American Society for Association Executives, and they have a lot of resources on associations. I'm obviously happy to serve as a resource, and so I can share my email in the chat probably before we go too, if that's helpful. But I think that there's very different approaches you can make. But internships are what I find that bring you, that if you can get an internship in that policy realm, those kind of open up a lot of doors for you. So that would be kind of one area that I would think about and look at. If it may not be the right place for you specifically, and if that's not, then maybe even just working with Delaware Bio. I know that they do so many networking events for the industry. And so obviously if you work at Catalent, I'm pretty sure Catalent's a member of Delaware Bio, but they have a lot of different networking activities where you could go and meet people that could even get you from that level to the DC level. And then a lot of the associations that you might be interested in have fly-ins where they bring their constituents to the DC and they've set up meetings to talk about the issues. And so we work closely with our state associations like Delaware Bio to organize those and bring individuals in. So that's just might be another area where you might want to look into it and get involved. But I'm also, again, happy to give you any insight additionally as I think about that as well.
And Kyle, just so you know, speaking of Delaware Bio, University of Delaware is a member, so that membership extends to our students. And Delaware Bio has a bio breakfast every other month that you can participate in for free and really network and get connected to industry leaders there.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much.
Great. I apologize. The sun went down on me while I was talking.
No worries.
Did you have any other questions?
Well, I was just a little bit curious. Does most of Bio's like initiatives, do they come from you guys, or do they come from your clients or members that you guys have that you fight for?
So that's a really good question. So both. A lot of them come from the policy teams within bio that are working and meeting with the government agencies quite regularly, or monitoring the policies that are and bills that are being introduced in Congress. We have federal lobbyists, and then we have individuals working on policy related to kind of reimbursement of products, which is, I say that as it's a small category, it's a massive category. And then we have a group working on science policies, so working with the NIH to improve access to grants, working with the FDA to improve the regulatory process. And so a lot of it does come from staff, but then we have a board of directors and we have committees that are part of our boards that work to bring issues of the membership up to our policy team and help. And so issues can be brought up by a member, and then it can be discussed by the board and decided that it's something that we should focus on. And so in a way, our policy teams are able to kind of be an extension of these organizations, because we're a broader voice than just one company, but they also are experts in the policy, so they can help these companies understand what the policy means and for their company, which is somewhat to where I come in, because we talk about this often at our conferences. We need to get that information out to our membership and our attendees in the industry as a whole. So hopefully that answered your question. It can happen both ways. A lot of times it'll come up through our board.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit it right on the spot.
Awesome. And then Sarah, I know you mentioned internships. Does Bio have an internship program or its members? How can students get connected?
Yes, I actually asked this question. We had a great internship program, and it's been on hiatus for the past year, but they're bringing it back, and they're bringing through. It used to be really a summer internship program, but they realized that there's more opportunities than that. So we're focused on a quarterly internship program. We should have information up on our website soon. We're revamping it to create more opportunities, but it really truly is a great way to get involved. And Renee, once it's available, I will send it to you to include in career services as well, because I know that there's probably a lot of great students, and I've had students from all backgrounds. I've had participate in the internship program with my team. We're looking a lot at companies and the science that they're doing so that we can identify new trends, and again, share information in that way, whether it's a business trend or a science trend or a policy trend. And so there's a lot of opportunities within my team, and then the policy teams and the federal government affairs team that's focused on lobbying in the Capitol. And we also have a strong state government affairs team too. So there are opportunities all throughout the organization, and I will be sure to share that information soon, because we're super excited to be able to bring that back.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Great.
Really briefly, to kind of interject again, you just talked quite a bit about the internship programs, but is there anything that is full-time? Because I work full-time now, and I'm looking to keep that going as I get my degree. But is there kind of any entry or mid-level positions that are available now, or how do we find those?
We have a career listing on our website. There are a few open positions. I am not sure which area of the organization they're in. So definitely take a look at the positions on the website. But I would also say we are, I know there's areas that we're hiring. We're definitely hiring within the events, and sometimes that requires, different types of skill sets. And we're typically always hiring in the policy areas. And so we have a careers section on our website. I can also send it to you too. But there are definitely openings. Some of them are very specific. I know right now we're looking for a director of climate policy. And so that is somebody that has to have experience in climate policy, but there very well could be other positions that I'm not sure that are available as well. We have about 140 or 50 staff members in our organization. So As far as trade associations, that's actually a very large staff. A lot of associations are just like small biotech companies. They have, 3 to 4 to 5 people working there. And so we're fortunate to have so much expertise on our staff, being led by our CEO, who, bringing her researcher, physician background to us. And so definitely take a look at that website, but I'd also say keep checking back because there's often openings there.
That's awesome. And just kind of my last one, I know you've been talking quite a bit. I hate to
It's okay. No,
maybe
it's
need a
fine
water
here.
or something, but
I'm good.
but kind of with that, like, do you guys look for someone from outside of your company to come in and get the job done, or is it more that you guys like to build your employees from within and kind of take their career up within your company?
So there is both. I will tell you, I started at the organization 10 years ago as the director of programs for one small program, or the convention, and I am vice president, and I oversee all of the education and the programs for our events and professional development. So I think I'm a case study that they definitely try to promote within and give new opportunities. But again, there are so many positions that need a very specific skill set. And so there's, I think, a mix of promoting from within and giving opportunities to the outside. But I will say, as far as an employer goes, it's been a great opportunity, and I've definitely been given that opportunity, and I see that every day. I see it with my team. All of them have been there, for quite some time, and most of them have been advancing in their opportunity, because it's so they do like to give those opportunities. That's a very good question.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, if no one else has questions, we can go ahead and conclude. So last chance.
And I can actually, I can put my email in here real quick if you guys want to copy it down. If there are any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer them by email as you all continue on your week and what's next.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. We can't thank you enough. We love the fact that you've come back to UD and just helped us out as an alumni, and just as a former coworker of mine. It was just so great to reconnect with you and to hear about all the great things that Bio does. Students, we thank you as well. We know that your schedule is busy, so we truly thank you for thinking of your career path and just getting connected with the Career Center and learning, looking to find out more about Bio. So I'm just going to share my screen for one last slide. All right. So as we work on concluding our Biotech Takeover Week, just a few more events to be made aware of. So tomorrow is our Biotechnology and Biomedical Engineering Career Meetup. We have 19 companies registered from within these industries. They're looking to connect with students. You can meet with companies within a one-on-one setting. Please go into Handshake if you haven't already and sign up. A great way to connect and get your name and face pushed out there, as well as your resume. Okay, and then speaking of Delaware Bio, we mentioned Delaware Bio, which is an affiliate of Bio. They are hosting an Inspiring Women in STEM conference virtually on October 14th. So the Career Center is looking to sponsor students to attend. We have an application form online. Please go ahead and fill that out. Applications are due by October 8th, and I'll put the link in the chat box. Okay, and just please keep in mind that we will be sending out a survey at the end of this week just to get your feedback on our Biotech Takeover Week events. We are always looking for ways in how we can improve, and just your thoughts on how you thought this week went. All right, so I hope everyone is doing well. Here again is the link for the Inspiring Women in STEM for the conference. If you wish to get sponsored, again, just fill out the information in that link, and the Career Center is looking to sponsor you for free to attend the event. Great way to get connected with industry leaders in Delaware and to inspire women in STEM. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly. My email address is rlove@udel.edu. Again, if this was a great event, thank you so much, Sarah. Looking forward to connecting with all of you students. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you both again.
Thank you.
Thank you.